Hello everyone, Mark Anderson Audio here. Welcome to today's video where I'm going to be reviewing these. These are my Bose QC20i noise cancelling headphones. I've had these for about 4 months now, and now I've had a bit of time to get used to them. I thought I'd maybe give a review of them. So the first thing you have to talk about with these things is the price. These cost me like £230. That's a lot of money. So like, you have to already know you have that amount of disposable income before you even think about the rest of this stuff to do with these headphones. They certainly are quote-unquote an investment. Like, I really hope I'll get years of use out of these. But anyway, let's get on to the details. So the first thing about them that you'll probably notice is the actual kind of earpieces themselves. These kind of gooey, sort of rubbery kind of feel to them. These are really awkward at first to actually get into your ear. But once you get used to the sort of technique for putting them in, they're actually fantastic. They're incredibly light. I found that I could work for like 8 hours and have these in the entire time. And then on my way home from work, I could just leave these in. You know, I didn't even notice them. I didn't get any ear discomfort or any pain or anything. Like, they're light as a feather, and they clip in so discreetly. It's really cool. So what I said about the sort of technique for putting them in is you actually have to sort of kind of put them in a little bit and then sort of kind of tilt back. So the first couple of maybe days, I spent a lot of time doing something like this, just trying to get them sort of in right, because it takes a wee while to get used to it. But now, to kind of demonstrate how quickly I can do it, as quick as that. So it does take a while to get used to, but once you do, it's nice and quick. It's worth noting that these advertise themselves as 2 different types of noise removal, essentially. There's the noise isolation, which is basically these fit into your ear and by their mere presence block out some noise. And then there's the active noise cancellation, which is courtesy of a little battery here. The noise isolation from these alone is actually kind of weak. I thought it was quite poor. The thing is, like, they don't really jam into your ear. They just kind of sort of sit there, which is maybe why they're so much more comfortable. But the downside of that is they don't necessarily block out that much noise just by being in as such. It really is the noise cancelling that's doing all the hard work. Cool. So onto the noise cancelling itself. It is pretty friggin' incredible. In addition to fiddling around with these for the first few days, once you buy these, you'll spend a lot of time flicking this little switch here on and off, just to feel like, oh my god, the sound of the street totally disappears. Oh my god, that's so weird. And kind of flicking it on and off, because it's pretty remarkable what this thing can do. The sheer amount of noise reduction it can be incredible. It does depend on where you are, what your environment is, but it's still pretty staggering. And there'll be times when I take off my headphones at the end of the day or whatnot, and then I'll suddenly realise just how loud the friggin' world is. Like, Jesus, man. So pretty damn impressive, just the sheer amount of reduction you can get. So the main 3 environments I really wear these in is one, walking up and down the street. I live in a busy city centre, so it's very noisy. Secondly is on the bus to and from work. And then finally, I used to work at a factory that was mega loud, like crazy, like lots of clacking machines, lots of everything, just deafening amounts of noise that you're normally wearing ear defenders. It's so loud. So giving them a good stress test each environment. For walking around the street, they are very good. You do have to sort of make sure you're paying attention when crossing the street and all that. But they're not they don't block out everything. Let's kind of clear that up straight away. They don't just make the world disappear or anything. It's stuff that's like, say, car engines or people's voices still come through comparatively clear. It's mainly a lot of low energy noise, low frequency noise and low frequency energy that is removed by these. So it's not as if you're just going to be walking blind every time you wear these walking down the street. It is worth noting though, if it's really windy, I sometimes find that, like, when these are in, I can kind of sense this kind of the kind of wind rushing past my ear. I've found that with pretty much every set of in-ear headphones I've ever had, but I notice it a little more with these. And I can't tell if it's because they're particularly bad at catching the wind or if the fact the noise cancelling almost makes it just more obvious that the wind is there. So if you do live in a really windy environment, then these are probably not really going to suit you very much. With regards to the next environment, let's talk about the Loud Factory. These were fantastic in the Loud Factory. So what I used to do is I'd have my old crappy in-ear headphones, kind of pop those in, kind of push them in as far as I could, and then get a big pair of industrial ear defenders on over the top. But then I still had to find that I was cranking up the volume of my music pretty high. And at the end of the day, my ears were killing me, absolutely pulsing, just not just in terms of the volume still getting into my ear, but just the discomfort of having to do that for so long. I completely replaced that with just these, and these were infinitely more effective. I could listen to kind of podcasts and radio shows much more easily without having to turn the volume up. Music sounded way better. The isolation of all the industrial machines, the noise of those was really removed, and I could still hear my colleagues if they kind of shouted over to me. I could still hear them pretty easily. It is worth noting, though, I found my stereo perception a little bit off with these on. So someone behind me to my left or whatnot might kind of like, Mark, and I'd probably kind of have to kind of turn both ways to kind of figure out where it was coming from. So that's a strange byproduct of the noise cancelling, is a wee bit kind of it messes with your stereo perception just that little bit, which is quite odd. The final environment I want to talk about is my bus to and from work. My bus is so goddamn loud, like a loud engine, just like really old crappy buses. And since I commute on my own, so I listen to a lot of kind of music and podcasts and stuff on the way to and from work. These have a total double-edged sword with regards to this. One, it will totally get rid of most of the engine noise. Probably about 80% of the engine noise disappears with these, which is fantastic. The big problem with these, though, is that they really don't react well to loud kind of banging sounds. And I live in Edinburgh, which is like a very old city, and the roads are kind of crap and half falling apart. So if the bus hits a pothole, which it does several times on my way to work, I get a kind of pulsing, banging noise through these. So if you've ever had a microphone and a mic stand, like say a good condenser mic, had headphones on and tapped that microphone, it's that kind of sound. It's almost like the kind of noise cancelling microphones that are in these are almost like shaking a little bit. It's really unpleasant, and it happens about 5 or 6 times on each journey for me to and from work, which is rubbish. So I was really disappointed with that, because they kind of advertise these as the kind of ultimate commuter headphones. But if you have to get a noisy bus, or even like say trams that have the big automatic doors that kind of slam shut, if they make a big bang and kind of jar the environment, then you'll probably get that horrible popping sound as well. So that's a big con for me. And for the price I paid for these, I kind of wish that that stuff kind of wasn't the case, because it's actively really unpleasant when it does happen. Like you'll maybe sort of be drifting off to sleep on the bus, and then bam, you kind of hear this kind of pop in your ears, and it's really not pleasant. I contacted Bose about it, and they say it's just a sort of limitation of the technology, really. But they say if the battery on this thing is fully charged, it's less likely to be a problem. In my experience, I didn't really notice that it made much of a difference. It was still annoying every time it happened, regardless of the charge on the battery. So now on the subject of the battery, this thing is kind of awkward, as you can see. So we've got length of the cable, we've got a little divider there that splits into 2, and then we have our battery at the end with our little cable there, and have our little switch to turn it on and off. So I have to flick that back on for a second. So we have there basically a power on indicator and a battery indicator that will start to flick orange if the battery's dying a little bit. So as you can probably tell, this is kind of awkward to carry about, especially with this little strange bit of cable here. So I have my MP3 player handy, and I'm going to show you how basically I have to put this thing into my pocket. So basically I always have to hold my MP3 player and the battery pack like this whenever I'm moving any of them, because otherwise it's going to dangle like this, and this just has broken connection written all over it if you kind of let that dangle. So I have to hold them like this, and then kind of slide them into my pocket, so it's going to be a nightmare for the camera. Step back a little bit and kind of slide them into my pocket like that together. It is not ideal. It never becomes any less annoying. It's not great. I don't know what the solution to that is. If you need this huge battery compartment, it has to go somewhere on the cable, I suppose. So hey Bose, if you're listening, see if you can invent like a really thick cable that has some sort of long battery that is the entire length of the cable. I'd be a very happy bunny, because this thing is super annoying. What else do we have on here? We have a little crocodile clip, very useful. And we also have this little kind of divider section here, which serves a couple of purposes. I believe if you plug this into your phone, you can use it to kind of take calls or something. I never use it, who cares about that? And there's another button here to turn on what they call listen mode. So basically what this does is it turns off most of the noise cancelling so you can temporarily listen to your environment. So say if you're crossing a street, for example, you just kind of click this button and suddenly you can kind of hear what's around you. What is really bizarre though, a really strange decision, is it doesn't just turn off the noise cancelling, it doesn't just turn off the noise cancelling like you maybe think it would. But you kind of click that button and it basically actually uses the microphones in here to amplify a lot of sort of mid-range kind of frequencies, so you can certainly hear what's around you, but it sounds really loud and annoying, and it can be really jarring. So like you'll be coming up to a crossing, you'll hit the button, and it's like suddenly it sounds like 1,000 buses are about to smash into your face from every direction. So I'm not particularly keen on that feature. As with most things in life, you know, safety first. If you're crossing a road, friggin' look, double check. Don't rely on the button that will terrify you every time you turn it on. So these things are hard to recommend in some respects. They are great sounding headphones if you like quite soft sounding, like the bass isn't mega amplified, the high end isn't like really harsh or anything like that. They are quite soft. Like a lot of Bose headphones have a certain kind of softness to them, which I think is something to do with the fact they advertise them to a lot of people who go on commuter planes, and they always have, you know, the shot of someone in their business suit kind of relaxing with the Bose headphones on and whatnot. That's not exactly my lifestyle, and I don't just sit and listen to jazz all day like those adverts always seem to imply. So there is a kind of softness to the tone, but for me, I quite like it in the same way that I like listening to albums on vinyl. There's a kind of softness to those, and they're not quite as kind of hyped up as say something like Beats headphones, which can be very kind of intense if you like that sort of thing. I do really love these headphones, but they're just so awkward and weird and come with so many strange caveats, like the price, the problem of the popping when you go over potholes or any kind of loud environmental thing. The fact that they're really kind of strange and awkward battery compartments to carry around, it can be quite odd. Another thing worth mentioning is the battery does need charged. It just has a kind of USB port there. I don't know what the actual name of this style of USB port is, but it's the same one that my Samsung phone charger has, so it means I just use the charger for that. This does actually come with the most hilariously small little USB cable that you can use to charge this, but it's mega dumb, because it's literally about like this long, which is not something you'd expect from someone like Bose to pack in a really stupidly awkward cable. But as I say, I just use my Samsung charger. So kind of overall, say it's hard to recommend in some respects. I really love them, but I also have to put up with a lot of nonsense to enjoy them. So if you can, I don't know, go to like a Bose dealer and ask to kind of try them, or I don't know, can you rent headphones? I don't know how the hell it works. Just to see if you're able to put up with the caveats, because if you put up the caveats, you're talking best in class noise cancelling and ridiculous comfort. And for me, those are like pretty much the two most important things. I tend to wear my headphones for a long periods of time, and I tend to wear them in very noisy environments. So those are the two things that I want, and I put up with all the other nonsense for those. But anyway, I've rambled on long enough. I hope you enjoyed this review, my first ever review of a thing. Please subscribe to my channel. My name is Mark Anderson Audio. Adios.